This has got to be one of the dumbest things that somebody could do in court. You know, you're in court fighting for your freedom. You've done something bad. Like, you're facing the possibility of prison time. And rather than just be nice, polite, respectful, try and win some favor from the judge, because maybe that might just help reduce your sentence, they attack the judge. It is just pure insanity. And to be honest, for you and me, like, obviously that kind of behavior, we would never do it. But I guess this is the behavior that has landed these people in court in the first place. Oh! Whoa, what are you doing? Oh!
In the hallowed halls of justice, a sacred trust is shattered when the accused unleashes fury on the very person tasked with dispensing justice. Welcome to a world of raw emotion, where civility is abandoned and chaos reigns supreme. Convicts attacking the judge in court is the shocking reality that unfolds when the accused, fueled by rage and defiance, turns on the symbol of justice. Join us on a journey into the heart of courtroom mayhem, where the boundaries of decorum are pushed to the limit. As we explore the most astonishing cases, we'll uncover the answers to the question, what drives a person to attack the very embodiment of justice? Let's dive in.
What's that on his face?
Deobra Redden. The courthouse buzzed with tension as Deobra Redden, a 25-year-old with a troubled past, stood before Judge Mary K. Huss. His eyes betrayed a mix of fear and resignation as he awaited his fate, knowing well the gravity of his actions. He had wielded a baseball bat in a fit of rage, leaving another man battered and bruised. With the weight of his guilt heavy upon him, he pleaded guilty, bracing himself for the impending sentence of 1 to 4 years behind bars. But as the proceedings unfolded, what struck observers was not Redden's defiance, but his calmness. In a matter-of-fact exchange with Judge Huss, he attempted to plead his case, citing his troubled past and the strides he had made toward redemption. Redden commented that, given his past, he believed a second stint in prison was unjustified.
What do you mean? Then maybe don't assault people with baseball bats.
He maintained a steady voice, despite the seriousness of the situation. Judge Huss, however, was unmoved, reciting Redden's litany of past transgressions: 3 felonies, 9 misdemeanors, and a trial of broken laws. Yet, Redden persisted, his words tinged with desperation as he tried to convince the judge of his newfound commitment to rehabilitation. But then, in a shocking turn of events, the courtroom became chaotic. Without warning, Redden leaped over the bench with fury as he charged towards Judge Huss. Deputies scrambled to intervene, wrestling him to the ground as panic rippled through the room. Amidst the chaos, alarms blared and calls for medical assistance echoed off the walls.
What an idiot. That sentence, which was going to be 1 to 4 years, probably put a 0 on that now.
Judge Huss, her calm demeanor shattered, lay wounded, blood pooling from a gaping laceration on her head.
Oh my God.
As the chaos unfolded, it became clear that Redden's outburst had left a trail of destruction in its wake. Days later, Redden returned to court, a shadow of his former self, shackled and subdued. However, the judge's voice was firm and decisive as she announced his sentence. In accordance with the law, Redden was sentenced to 19 to 48 months in the Nevada Department of Corrections.
19 to 48 months. So 48 months is 4 years, right?
A harsh reality that loomed large before him. Melissa Hardwick.
Honestly, he's lucky to have only got 48 months, I would say. Like, very lucky.
Do you know the saying about how whatever a woman can do, a man can do better? Well, maybe that's exactly what happened with Melissa Hardwick. Melissa found herself at the center of a heated domestic violence hearing in Russell and Wayne County Family Court in Kentucky. During the hearing overseen by Judge Jennifer Edwards for a domestic violence complaint filed by her ex-husband, Melissa was eager to share her side of the story. As she took
her being that close to the judge is in itself, like, I mean, a red flag. Why did she need to be within 3-4 yards of the judge.
The stand, her ex-husband's words painted a picture of a stormy relationship that had been spiraling out of control since the start of the year. He spoke of incidents and arrests, of harassment and fear. But just as it seemed like he was about to reveal the most intimate details of her personal life, Melissa's composure suddenly shattered. "This is none of your business," she erupted, her voice echoing through the courtroom. "My personal life is none of your concern." The judge cautioned that if there were further disruptions, Melissa would face contempt of court charges. However, Melissa remained defiant, stating that she didn't care and insisting that she hadn't done anything wrong to her ex-husband. The judge acknowledged her statement, conceding that regardless, she would serve a 10-day jail sentence for contempt. But that was when things only got more chaotic from there. Melissa suddenly lunged at the judge, but fortunately, the court deputies were able to restrain her just in time. Despite being restrained, she continued to hurl verbal threats, leading to additional criminal charges. It was a moment that left everyone in the courtroom breathless and wondering what secrets Melissa was hiding.
I mean, I don't think she was hiding any secrets. I just think she's guilty. Like, whatever they accused her of, I think she's guilty. The lack of impulse control tells the whole story there, I think.
Brian Nichols. March 11th, 2005, was a day that would go down in infamy at the Fulton County Courthouse. It was a typical morning at the Fulton County Justice Tower until Brian brutally attacked Deputy Cynthia Hall at 5:54 a.m. Deputy Cynthia Hall was escorting Brian from the basement detention area to a holding cell on the 8th floor, a routine task that would soon turn deadly. Tragically, Hall made a critical error. She failed to require Brian to wear leg shackles, despite the fact that he had been caught with door hinges hidden in his shoes just the day before. This oversight would prove to be a fatal mistake, as Brian was able to use his unrestrained freedom to launch an attack on Hall and begin his rampage. In a sudden and violent outburst, Brian overpowered Deputy Cynthia Hall, wrenching her gun belt from her waist and slamming her into a nearby cell. He locked the door behind her, trapping her inside. With Cynthia neutralized, Brian stormed and aimed at Judge Roland W. Barnes's private chambers, his gun waving wildly as he took aim at the terrified occupants.
Wow.
Case managers Susan Christie and Gina Clark Thomas cowered in fear, alongside attorney David Allman, as Brian barked demands to reveal the whereabouts of Judge Barnes. Just then, Sergeant Grantley White, the court bailiff, burst into the room, only to be met with the cold steel of Brian's gun, trained squarely on him. The situation quickly escalated.
Lucky he didn't pull the trigger.
Leaving the staff in the chambers at the mercy of Brian, who was now armed and dangerous. Brian burst into courtroom 8F through a door behind the judge's bench, his gun drawn and ready. Judge Barnes, presiding over a civil trial, never stood a chance. Brian fired a single shot at close range, striking the judge in the back of the head and killing him instantly. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the courtroom as Brian scanned the prosecution table, his eyes searching for his targets. Realizing the assistant district attorneys he sought were absent, he turned his attention to Julie Brando, the court reporter.
There was more? Like, wait, why didn't they take him down yet?
And shot her in the head. Sergeant White, who had been forced into the bathroom, sprang into action, grabbing his radio to send out a desperate Mayday call. "Shots fired!" he yelled into the radio, his voice steady despite the chaos. Brian, meanwhile, stormed out of the courtroom, his gun still smoking.
How has nobody taken him down yet? Like, usually there's at least 5 to 10 police officers in a courthouse.
He raced into a side room, searching for his ex-girlfriend, whom he took advantage of. But she was nowhere to be found. Brian then burst out of the emergency stairwell. The door alarm blared like a siren, alerting everyone in the vicinity. As Brian fled the courthouse, he fired his gun into the air, sending pedestrians on Martin Luther King Drive scrambling for cover like ants from a disturbed nest. The chaos was palpable as people ran for their lives, seeking refuge from the hail of bullets. Brian then hijacked a vehicle, commandeering the driver's seat and speeding away from the scene. A massive manhunt ensued, with law enforcement agencies working tirelessly to track down the fugitive. Finally, a tip-off led police to Brian's hideout, and he was apprehended, his reign of terror brought to an abrupt end. Back in court, Brian faced the full wrath of justice.
I'm sure this guy, they gave him like a super heavy sentence, probably decades in prison, 10, 20 years at least.
His crimes laid bare for all to see.
Oh no, more, because he actually killed people.
The eyes of the nation upon him, Brian's lawyers gambled on an unorthodox defense. Brian's defense team argued that their client was insane and shouldn't be held accountable for his actions. They pointed to his history of depression and suicidal thoughts after a rough breakup with his girlfriend. Psychology experts took the stand, revealing Brian's disturbing beliefs, including his conviction that white people were out to eradicate the black race. The jury was left to ponder. Was Brian a victim of his twisted mind, or a master manipulator? Several judges withdrew themselves from the case due to their friendship with the murdered judge, Roland Barnes. Judge Hilton Fuller took over, but later disqualified himself due to concerns about judicial impartiality.
Wow.
The case was then handed over to Superior Court Judge James Botiford. Brian attempted to escape by allegedly plotting another escape attempt.
This guy he is relentless. He tried to escape again.
An investigation revealed that Brian had received help from his girlfriend, 2 deputies, a paralegal, and his brother. The trial commenced in Atlanta Municipal Court, where Brian entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, setting the stage for a complex and riveting legal battle. His defense team posited that he was under the delusion of being at war with the government, but the prosecution countered with compelling evidence suggesting Brian was fully cognizant of his actions.
Yeah, I just don't believe that he's insane. I just don't buy it.
And had meticulously planned the attack. Building on this foundation, the prosecution sought to dismantle the defense's insanity plea, presenting a wealth of evidence that Brian was in full control of his faculties. Gail Abramson, a former prosecutor, testified that she observed no indications of mental illness during Brian's 2005 trials, a crucial point that bolstered the prosecution's case. Over 17 days, the prosecution presented a robust case, calling 76 witnesses and displaying graphic autopsy photos of Brian's 4 victims, further solidifying their argument. In a strategic countermove, the defense cited a traumatic childhood and a devastating breakup with his girlfriend that precipitated a downward spiral. To substantiate their claim, they called upon Brian's former girlfriend and a psychiatrist to testify about his mental state. The former girlfriend recounted a harrowing incident in which Brian entered her home armed and threatened her, a chilling account that highlighted his instability.
This guy, he's been a wrong'un for a long time. Like pretty much all his life, he's just had serious issues.
Attorney Barry Hazen testified about Brian's increasingly erratic behavior and dangerous tendencies, while psychiatrist Mark Cunningham presented a revealing college essay written by Brian outlining his beliefs about racial persecution and violence, further underscoring the defense's argument. After 12 hours of deliberation, the verdict was in. Brian was found guilty on all 54 counts.
54 counts? Oh my God.
On December 13, 2008, Judge Botiford handed down the maximum sentence.
Life.
Multiple life terms with no chance of parole.
Whew. Oh my God. That last guy, jeez, man. Talk about, lifetime criminal, lifetime psycho. I just can't believe he did that to that judge. Just burst into the chambers and boom. Like without a second thought, without a doubt, any doubt in his head. The kind of person that can do that, just pure cold blood, just take someone out. Just it's unimaginable for me that he could do that. And not just the judge, he did it to multiple people. It just goes to show, you never know what people are capable of. Like, people that you see on a daily basis, you just don't know what's going on inside their heads. Like, are they sane? Are they normal? You know, are these people hiding something? Because that guy, Brian, I'm sure there were people in his life who never saw that dark side of him, who probably just thought he was a completely sound, sane guy. Obviously, he was not. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And if you did, check out this video right here and hit the join button below. See you there.